If you've reached a point in your life where you wake up and you're just not excited about what you have to do, you feel like you've got a lot more to offer, then this show's for you. My name's Lance Speck, and I left the corporate world about 4 years ago and have never looked back. And I want to talk about a few of the things that I've learned during this time, or a lot of the things I've learned that I wish I would have known at that point, because it would have saved me probably tens of thousands of dollars. So this show is going to be really about not just motivating you to do something to finally make a move, but also give you some tools and some guidance to kind of help you along the way from some of the lessons I learned, some of them very expensive. And so I'm looking forward to giving you a little slice. And today's episode is going to be focused on analysis paralysis. It's probably the biggest killer of ideas out there. I don't know the statistics on how many have gone to die, good ideas have gone to die, but so many are thought about and talked about and then never acted upon, and people just sometimes overthink them. This is not to say that you should just go into things willy-nilly and not give them much thought. You need to do the math, but at what point do you have enough to know that you need to go start it out, and how can you really figure out when that time is right? So I'm going to give a couple of tips on that and what I think might help you through that process. For me, the biggest thing was find some friends that can give you some guidance. Now, there are two kinds of friends. There are the ones that are risk averse, that maybe have never done a startup, and they're going to be terrified by everything. So you need them. You need people who are going to be a little bit skeptical, because they're going to give you some thoughts and ideas and things you might not have thought about, and they're useful. But if that's all you rely on, then you're probably not going to ever get off the ground. You need to also have some people who have done it before, and they will walk you through what they did. And hopefully that's what we're doing with part of this video series, is we are helping you understand it's okay, you can take that next step, you've thought it through enough. And so analysis is good, but over-analysis is just going to leave you stuck, right? So you don't want to fail, but you also don't want to overthink it to the point where you paralyze your business and keep it and stun its growth. Big lesson. So what's my advice? My advice would be find some friends that have started a business and run your plan by them. You really need to know what your objective is. You really need to know, what do you want to do at the end of the first year, second year, third year? Is it that you want to make money? Is it that you want to have more free time? Is it that you want to position yourself to be sold? What's your objective? You shouldn't, because I say analysis paralysis is bad, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't know where you're going on the map. You shouldn't try to figure out how to get there and what steps it's going to take to get there. So don't confuse this session with just go through it without any thought. Understand what your objective is, build your business case, and test it with hypotheticals. Test your hypotheticals, and then figure out how short or how much you think you've got coverage on your plan, and some things will come up that you never expected. So you should be thinking about that and have your funding figured out that's aligned to that. You really can't go in with a great idea that needs 24 months of runway with 6 months of funding, and you don't want to get in a spot where you're stuck, where you can't get a loan, where you have to go borrow money at high interest rate. You just don't want to get in a spot where you're stuck. So figure out your funding, and then when you figured out your funding, figure out your backup, and then maybe even a third backup funding. Call it rainy day funds or whatever you may want to call it, and hope you don't have to get to them, but know that they're there if you can. Factor in your risks. You can factor, if you read any financial reports or earnings reports, there's always a risk section in those public companies' annual reports. They're pretty doom and gloom. Most of them are unrealistic, but you should still factor in anything from the economy, a recession, a storm, or a terrible event, an accident. God forbid anybody ever got sick, or you got sued, or you had There's just a lot of things that you should be thinking about, and your business can't be too fragile. So be thinking about those risks and how you're going to avoid them, and maybe that'll prepare you for whatever happens. And once you've thought about those things and your ideas sound, then just get started. And I'm making it sound simple, but you really have to get started. You really have to think about it, figure out everything I've just discussed, and then you got to move. Because if you just sit, time's ticking, money's gone, and until you get moving, you're not going to learn. Now, if you're risk averse, maybe it's just not a good idea. And I don't want to be that naysayer that I just said you need to watch out for. But if you over worry about everything, somebody in your company, whether it's you or your partner, somebody has to be the crazy one that's that might be me in this case, the crazy one that's saying let's push it, let's push it, let's push it. And then you it's always good to have somebody there that's a little bit more skeptical, because they balance you out. Now we're growing at 30 to 40% a year each year. Our profitability, because our costs were so high at the beginning, has increased with every year as we're paying down notes, paying down loans, and paying off of all of our equipment. Getting started is the most important thing. If you have a good idea and you know you have a good idea, then I say do it. I say go for it. If you find this interesting or you want to ask me any questions about whatever, our business, other businesses, financials, hiring, any of the topics we talk about in this series, feel free to contact me, call me, email me. I'll be glad to help you out. If I can help you save some time or money, I'd love to do it. All right? Thanks and good luck.
Twice.